Yeah, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Comedian Bible Study with Sean Grant, the show where I get to trick my favorite people into talking about my favorite thing, which is God. And I want to introduce, before I bring my guest in, the man whose voice you're going to hear so from time to time is not God, but it's close. It's Channing.
What's up, guys?
He's really cool. Not as cool as God, but he's super dope. Love this guy. Great producer.
Second in line.
Second in line. You're probably the second coolest person in this room, because the first coolest person, I'm about to introduce her right now, okay? Now, you can hear her on Netflix Is a Joke Radio, okay? She's also in the hit show Phobias on Hulu, and her live streams when she's cooking are the best thing on the planet. You got to check out her live streams. Thank you so much for being here, Christine Little!
Yay. Thank you for having me. That was a great intro.
Thank you.
That was full of energy.
Oh, my gosh.
You tired?
I'm tired. That's it. Cut the cameras. I'm done. No, oh my God, yo! Thank you for being here, Christine.
Thanks
I really
for having
appreciate
me.
it. Of course.
I love the premise that you're tricking people into talking about your favorite
Oh
thing.
my gosh, I never get to talk to my favorite people about the Bible, because it's weird to bring it up at a club. So I figure, get you in Channing's studio and trick you. But before we get into it, I do want to know, or let the people know maybe, because we bring in Islamic people. You know, I happen to be a Christian, but yeah, there's people from all different walks. What would you say your theological stance is at this moment in time?
I would say I identify as a Christian.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I don't have like a denomination,
Right.
and I don't feel like a typical Christian in that sense, I guess.
Oh, dude,
But,
yeah.
And I'm not like, I don't have the Bible memorized
Right.
or anything, but yeah, I do identify as a Christian.
Yeah.
My name actually means follower of Christ.
Right.
That's what the refrigerator magnet says.
That's right.
That's what my fridge magnet says.
Can't deny it. It's inerrant. If it's a fridge magnet, are inerrant, just like the Bible. No, but no, you are yours. And regardless of that, I didn't know that about you. I've known you for many years. You're an amazing person. Just the light that comes off of you, you know.
Thanks.
So thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing the word for today, which is from Colossians chapter 3, and we'll do verse 1 through 4.
Colossians.
Yes, Colossians, since verse 1, since then you have been raised with Christ, set your heart on things above, where Christ is, seated right at the hand of God. 2, set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. 3, for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. I hope he paused when he said, for you died. And people are like, what? And then 4, when Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also appear with him in glory. Christine, why did you choose this? Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do that, background about this. Paul is writing a letter to the church at Colossae, which is present-day Turkey. His friend Ep6 started the church there, and he's like, yo, Paul, talk to these fools, because they really need, they really need some encouraging. They going back to their pagan gods. They kind of confused. Paul is writing from jail. This dude, he stayed locked up, man, Paul. And he's encouraging people. Oh, my God, he was always locked up. And he's encouraging people not to focus on legalism and also not on fleshly things, but what is the higher identity as a person renewed in Christ Jesus. Why'd you pick this passage, Christina? What does it do for you?
Okay, so the passage, the part of it that I picked was set your mind on the things that are above, not on the things that are
right. Is that verse 2? Right.
Yeah, so I picked this one for several reasons. One,
yes.
I found it in my highlighted thing in my Bible app, and I was like, oh, that's great. But also it felt like really layered to me in the sense that, like, when I first would read that, set your mind on things that are above, not on the things that are upon the earth, I would think of like heavenly things.
Right.
Like your life after this life, you know?
Right.
But something about reading it the last time, it hit me in a different way, to where it was like the message I got, I don't know if this is accurate, but like, don't focus on what is in front of you. Right. Focus on like what you want it to be. Like, don't look around at your circumstances, how they are now, but what they could be. Like, you know what I mean? So like right now it's really hot in here.
Right.
No
Don't
shade.
focus on that.
No,
there
shade.
is no shade.
Literally. But you know, if we wanted to, if we put our mind upon thinking coolly or something, then we could have that reality, but it would be harder to do that if we're just focusing on what we don't have.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. We live in a society.
It's
like a lack mentality, I feel like.
Yes. And we're all just like focusing on that lack, and then it just brings in more of it.
Dude, I just, and this is not to brag on that, but like, if just to bring in the worry part.
Here we go.
Oh, no. So this is actually going to be weeks from now. But so we're recording this. It's July 28th, the day we're doing this. So I just, Don't Tell put out a little clip of me. Oh, thank you, Channing.
It's so good.
It was, thank you, bro. But you know what? I've been focusing. It's funny because Kyle, the guy who started Don't Tell, had to relax me. And we played chess just to relax my anxiety. The first thing you focus on, at least you look at Barbossa's numbers. You look at other comics' numbers.
Yes.
They get millions of views, and there's nothing I could do about it. I can't make more people. Everybody, thank you guys for compliments. Thank you guys for who said they enjoy it. Thank you for that. But I find myself worrying about those things. Like you said, the numbers, or comparing it to Chappelle Lacey's numbers, or the other guys who get millions and millions. We're all great comics and deserve to be seen. But you're like, dang, like, you know, I had to fight that. I had to fight what you're talking about.
What sucks about that too is that there was a point in your life where you would have been so thrilled
52,000 people saw it so far
to
in a
see
day.
that, you know,
It's
and then you go and
to me.
compare it to someone else, and then it just takes away all the meaning of it. That sucks.
That sucks.
It's like, let's live in that place of the past where it's like, man, I wish I had that before. But it's weird. It's like sometimes you get stuff and you just forget that you wanted it in the first place.
Where did that start for you as a kid? Do you remember your first moment of lack? I remember my friend Joe got a Ghostbusters car for Christmas, and I didn't get that. And I remember I was 2. I don't remember the tantrum, but my mom tells the story so much that it became a memory to me. Like that I threw this tantrum and I hit her with I got my car seat, started beating her over the head basically.
Wow. This story sounds fabricated.
It's terrible. No, it's true. And then she says I took a sock because I knew she was gonna beat me when I got home. She's on the highway driving in Miami, and I took my sock out and I'm waving at the white people. Like, help me.
Oh my God.
Help me. This one's gonna murder me.
Waving at
And actually I ran when I got to my grandma's house. This lady laid on top of me. As my great grandma, this is her Bible. She laid on top of me, so when my mom was beating me with her belt, she was hitting my grandma as well. So we both took ass whooping for that. But I remember that feeling of lack.
Story.
Yeah, it's a mean story. Yeah. But what was your first story? Do you ever remember like being jealous of somebody?
I get jealous all the time. It's something that I struggle with a lot, and I'm not proud of that, but it is what it is.
For sure.
I think one of the things of lack, one of the first things I can remember that came to my mind, I don't remember having like a big reaction of it. I think it's more of like an internal thing where it's like, oh, look, this family, my friend's family is having like a dinner together, or like they're having something that seems normal that I didn't feel that I necessarily had.
Oh, you didn't have like a centralized, like your mom and dad, were they together?
No, my parents divorced when I was 4.
4 years old.
Yeah, and so I moved around a lot. I went to like 3 different kindergartens, and I was back and forth from Missouri to Indiana. My mom was in Indiana.
Stability.
My dad, yeah. So it was just kind of like crazy. And then we had like the step family. And no, we never had like dinners at the table like you see on TV where people are like, tell me about your day. And we're like, may I be excused from the table? Like, we didn't have that. It was like, get your food, go to your TV, and eat your meal.
That's dope, man. I mean, it's funny because you get jealous. Even if they're having an argument at the table, you're like, they at the table together.
Yeah, they're at the table. I always wanted that. But I think the reality of it would kind of annoy me because I have gotten in the habit of just watching TV while I eat.
Right.
So if someone's like, we're going to eat at the table, I'd be like, like, that's cool in theory, but like.
Right. You're like, nah, I want to watch, more or something like that. Yeah, it feels better. That's how me and my wife are. She grew up I grew up sitting around the table. How was your day? So I kind of annoy my wife when I ask her, like, and I can't watch nothing without asking the meaning. Like, am I weird? Is that weird? I don't know if it's a comic thing or just because my family always was like, we'd watch something and be like, well, what was that about? Like, everything has a theme. My wife was like, I don't know, it was whatever, it's a movie.
I like that.
You like
I
to analyze stuff?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really like to analyze it. That's why I like that Barbie movie. I was like, whoa.
Did you say, oh, you know, well, it's good. Spoiler, whatever. This is weeks.
I don't want
They
to
should have spoil it. Who cares?
No, it was basically just
what was it about?
The representation of kin in the movie was like how women feel now. Basically, in the Barbie world, it was like whatever the opposite of a patriarchy is.
Right.
It was like all about the women.
matriarchy?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd call it that though, but yeah. So,
it was
Ken was like representing what women are in this world, and then
like
when he came
objects.
to our world,
right.
he was like all of a sudden respected, and people said hi to him and acknowledged him, and like it just, I related to that as a woman because I've had so many times where I've been in a room with other comics or guys or whatever, and like I don't get a greeting. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a part of
fraternity. You're an outsider.
I'm just seen as like an accessory or
right.
something like that. Oh, I thought you were so and so's girlfriend.
Dang.
You know.
That's crazy because like this verse, like it reminds me. I haven't seen the Barbie movie, but I remember the song by Aqua, and this is gonna sound very weird, but that song made me cry as a kid.
I'm a Barbie girl.
I'm a Barbie girl because if you listen, I'm a blonde single girl in a fantasy world, dress me up, make it tight. You're my dog, rock and roll. It's just this lady that wants to feel the glamour and pink to me. You can touch, you can play, you can say I'm always, but she's like so empty. She's plastic. I'm dressed in plastic. It's fantastic. She sounds happy, but the lyrics don't sound like they would come from somebody acknowledging I'm plastic and I'm fake. And there's, you know, you can just touch me anywhere, and that's all I am.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm just this earthly thing. You know what I mean? There's nothing above this. I'm just this flat dog. I mean, yeah. So something about that made me. I feel not that I felt like that as a man. I don't really, but I just was like, oh, that's so sad for this person. Like that only sees their worth in that way. And this is before Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
When, you know, I was a kid.
To see your worth in relation to someone else.
Right.
Like I say, so you're so-and-so's girlfriend. That means you don't have a name. Right. You're just so-and-so girlfriend.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That feels, that's hard. And I remember in comedy, like I was at Marty's once and I just had this realization. I was like, oh my God, something hit me. I was like, oh my God, these guys, they don't see me as a comedian. They see me as a woman, like as a girl. And I had said that on stage and this guy was like, yep. I was like, damn.
Who the hell was that?
I felt like I was a dog that thought it was human this whole time. Right. I'm not saying that's the case for every comedian, but in my experience, it's like, why don't they talk about comedy with me? Why is it always this? Why do we hug instead of and not shake hands? Like just like little things like that to let you know that you're not a part of it or you're not as important, and that hitting you over time all the time. So that's why you have to keep your mind on things above.
Right, bring you to the stage. Oh, she's so pretty.
Yeah.
Who cares? I've never heard a dude brought up like this
I did that to a guy once.
Oh, you told Jeff? Was it Jeff Dye or
no?
Who's the other guy? Who's my boy?
I forget
the
who
one
it
that's
was.
famous now. Just got famous. He's really handsome.
Oh, you're talking about Matt?
Matt Rife, yeah.
No. It was some I think he was on Tropic Thunder.
Was he handsome? Oh, you're talking about Brandon.
I think so.
Yeah. He's a handsome guy.
Brandon who?
Brandon, you remember Tropic Thunder? The black guy from Tropic, not Robert Downey Jr., the real black guy.
Was it the dude who
he was in the lottery ticket?
The rapper?
I think he was. He played the rapper in the movie.
Yeah, he was like selling booty sweat.
Booty sweat.
Okay.
How you remember Booty Sweat? What was his name?
I don't remember any of
that. I don't remember.
Brandon, is it Brandon T something?
Brandon T. Jackson.
Brandon T. Jackson.
Brandon T. Jackson. Yeah, I like that. He's a nice guy, yeah. But was he not a nice? I mean,
no, he was not. Yeah, he was nice. I don't know why.
You just thought he was handsome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You know what I mean?
I'm a hypocrite.
No, he probably was like, oh, no way. You know, he probably.
I think he was like.
Was that weird?
What the hell was that about?
Very handsome guy. But no, man. So and what I like about this letter too, I wanted to ask you this: like, it's written by a guy in jail. He's in jail. Is it very eloquent? You received an eloquent jail letter like this? It's a very well written letter. You've never messed with no.
No, I did have a grad student that I worked with when I was in college, he did get.
He went to jail?
Yeah, he was selling heroin, or he was part of some heroin ring or something.
You were also a grad student? You were
No,
peers?
I was an undergrad, but he
Oh.
worked in the lab, and
What?
yeah.
Selling heroin?
Yeah, it was like cool. It was like, oh my gosh, Tom?
What?
Tom, the neuroscience guy?
Oh my
Those
gosh.
neuroscience people, they turn up pretty hard.
Dang.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Did he write you?
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, this was so long ago, but I was like, oh, I probably wrote him back once or something. But
Yeah, that's nice.
jail letters are cool.
Yeah.
Usually, there's like a picture of them like doing that squat with the peace sign.
Yeah,
You know,
like, and they got the homies around
yeah,
them.
you're still trying to look good, even though like your freedom isn't there. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's cool of Paul to write that
And he was
letter.
pumping people up. Like, imagine he can still pump people up centuries from now, and he was in jail. I mean, it's hard
Yeah.
to be motivational from that position. I don't know how many people. I've never been locked up. Have you ever been detained?
Yes.
What? Wait a minute. You've been arrested or detained? 'Cause that's two different things. My bad. I've been watching a lot
I
of Cold
don't
Blue on
know.
YouTube.
I got
They
I
read you
guess
your rights?
detained when I was like in 8th grade because they were like,
Oh,
like,
what?
you're in 8th grade, you can't drink, blah, blah, blah. And then our parents had to like pick us up from the police
You at the
station.
bar?
No. We were just at my friend's house listening to
Oh.
Biggie and dancing in the street, just wilding out.
Wilding out. Well,
And
you
then the
grew up in New
cops
York?
came. No, Indiana. In New York.
Oh, you listen to Biggie. I guess Biggie was everywhere. My bad.
No.
Drinking beer?
Probably like gin or vodka or something.
Damn!
Oh yeah, I went hard in junior high, which is funny. I don't drink anymore, really. I don't like it, but I used to drink a lot.
That's
and
probably
so
what got it out your system.
I think so,
Yeah.
because now, like, I just found out a girl I went to high school with is, I don't know what it is, but me and these people in heroin, but she's in jail. She just went to prison for heroin, and I'm like, this was like a good girl in
Wow.
school, and so I was a bad girl, and then it like flipped. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to
Right.
get it all out of your system.
If I hear one, I feel like you framing these people. We're gonna get to 5 more stories. I don't know how this keeps it. They keep finding heroin.
They were selling heroin.
Then I went to this podcast.
the scene.
And then heroin. They arrested Channing for having heroin.
Sean had heroin in his
I don't want to be guilty
Bible.
by association.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the second time was also underage drinking
Word.
in high school.
They
And
take you to jail. They don't give you a ticket.
They
Oh,
got
yeah.
a school bus and took us to jail, and it
Was
was on the
that-
news. And then my cousin called my mom and was like, "Oh, some kids from Carmel got arrested. I wonder if Christine's a part of it." Sure enough.
Oh,
And I barely had anything to drink that time.
dang.
But the heroin I was selling, that shit was. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wasn't selling heroin.
Yo, what made you? What drew you to those kids? I guess there's. I don't know if they had church kids. I'm sure Indiana probably had like a church group.
Neglect.
Word, like from the family, from mom. and
Probably,
pops.
yeah. So my parents are divorced, and they divorced when I was 4. My dad had primary custody,
Yes.
and my friends are kind of like my family in a
Yeah.
sense. So being cool was important,
Yeah.
and just like fitting in with who you could fit in with. And so we moved to like a nicer, like the richest city in the state.
Oh snap.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is going to be like the nicest place we ever get evicted from. And it was. And so, I just made friends with those kids. They were called the gangsters at the time. And
Just the gang, like no gang name.
they were like preps and gangsters.
Okay.
So, I mean, I wasn't a prep.
Right.
I was into Bone Thugs and Harmony too much.
Right.
So,
Dang. Yeah, man, that's it. Yeah, it's cool to see you come to the good side now. I don't know if.
oh, well, the Bible and God has always been a part of my life, despite all the craziness
Right.
that was in my house. My dad was always talking about the Bible, like all the time.
Oh, so he was very religious himself. He was. I've heard you talk about Pops. He's got like a black man. He's a white guy
yeah.
that talk like an old black man.
Yeah, so he was
Christine, you got to read this Bible.
he wouldn't tell me to read. He would just tell me what was in it,
Ah.
and maybe make me feel bad that I didn't read it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let me think here. Yeah, so my mom grew up in a really strict church, like really strict church. Like they couldn't even listen to music outside the church. They couldn't really have friends outside the church. It was basically like a cult.
Right.
And so when her and my dad got together, he was telling her like, hey, this isn't accurate. Like this isn't in the Bible or whatever. They broke up. He partied more, still read the Bible. We went to a bunch of different churches like with my mom and stuff, but never had like a home church or any place that I was involved with.
But it's good because it's like your experience. See, what's hard to give a kid a relationship with God. You could teach a kid recite the Bible. I know how to recite the Bible. My grandma made me do it and made me, memorize Psalms. But I kind of went away from it. I was like, that's just mumbo jumbo stuff. Until I had some type of need for a relationship, and I saw the positives. Because I think
what happened?
Well, I would say I was just like living in my car, stuff like that. Like it was just probably the normal LA stuff. But I feel like I never saw the benefit because you couldn't really scare me with hell. Right? I'm from Miami. First of all, I live in Florida.
You're like, it's already hot.
It's pretty hot, and I was in my mind. I'm like, there's no place you can be for a long time and not get used to it. If I'm here for eternity, I'm gonna get used to it. So honestly, if there was a hell, that was my mind, where my mindset was. But now I'm like, wait a minute, there was so much in here that could actually help you. You can learn how to run a business.
What made you realize that? Like, did it just come to you one day, or when you were at your lowest, or what happened?
I would say, what was it? It happened over time, but it's almost like a revelatory experience, in my opinion. I don't know if everybody would describe it this way. It's almost like almost everything at once, right? Like you're just like, boom. But then over time, you get it affirmed to you, right? Like somehow I felt like I was connected to everybody. That was my idea of Christ, right? Like in the beginning, and you go through and you're like, okay, you're like, let there be light. And what is the light? The light is awareness. And I'm aware, I'm self-aware, right? I want to change my mind. What's changing my mind, right? Is a soul. I have a soul. I must have a soul if I can, because the mind can't change itself. All this stuff. And then I started reading stuff like The Alchemist and there's certain things.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were like.
That's so crazy. That sounds like kind of similar to what happened with me.
Word.
Yeah, like I grew up like hearing the Bible and stuff. I never read it for myself. I may have tried to crack it open a couple times. I'm like, what? Yeah. Like I was so confused, and I never had to memorize scripture or anything. So I don't know what, I didn't know the scripture that I just told you. But there was a point in time where I felt like I was having this weird spiritual awakening at the end of college where like it's hard to explain. It was like I was on drugs, but I wasn't. Like everything was connected. Yeah. And I just had this greater sense of like there's more to life. And then I met this guy at a bar who was like journaling, and I went up to him like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm writing about now. And we just had this great conversation, and he's like, read this book and this book, and one of them was The Alchemist. And that kind of started my spiritual journey, and then like Siddhartha and all this stuff. And so I've just like been on this like quest.
So he was talking about now. Was he read Eckhart Tolle? Is he talking about that? Like the power
that
of now?
Was like, actually, that's funny. When I lived around in this neighborhood is when I started listening to Eckhart Tolle. Yeah. But I don't know. He was just like writing about the current moment. And I'd never really heard anybody talk like that before. Yeah. Like I just, partied and drank.
And I remember, and it started to make sense. Because even like, okay, you take those ideas, even when Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. I listen to sermons all the time. Never heard nobody preach it because it's very hard to attend. What do you mean it's inside me? I thought it was a place like Chicago or something. Like I'm going to heaven, right?
Yeah.
No, it's inside you and it's at hand is what the Bible says, which means now, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute. So that I can have peace and have it now? Like I don't have to do anything. And it's not from any self-effort that I get this. It's from accepting this idea. So then it started to make more sense. I'm like, oh, that'd be the only way. It doesn't sensibly make sense to defeat evil by killing people, right?
Exactly.
Because that's what happened.
People were confused about when Jesus came. They were like, oh, when are we going to kill all these Romans?
Kill Caesar, let's do it. But then it's like, no, God did that with the Moabites, the Jebusites, the Assyrians, the Hittites, and it just keeps being Philistines, and it keeps being more and more people. There'll always be an enemy. But Jesus killed them all when he said, love your enemy.
Yeah.
Because like I was just telling Shane, like it's like that's a relationship. To have an enemy requires participate, just like a friend. You can't be a friend to me if I don't like you, if I don't want to participate in that relationship. For you to be my enemy, you can try to hurt me, talk about me, maybe even try to kill me. But if I don't accept the relationship part of that, if I don't try to also do it to you, and if I go around, well, I don't have any opinion of her. I think she's very nice.
Me and my mom just had that same talk about, like people provoking you, if like they're antagonizing you, because I've had that with friendships and she's had that with some of her relationships. And it's like when you are engaged in it too and defending yourself even, you look like you're a part of it. And people will go, man, these two are always going at it. And it's like, no, this person is attacking me and I'm defending myself.
Right.
So like, if anything, that's another good reason to just be like, I don't accept that, but like, cool, like that's on you, that's your thing that you're working through, and I have compassion for that, but I don't have to be a part of it.
I heard a pastor say once, he said, don't argue with a fool, because that's in the Bible. Even Jesus said a fool loves his folly. You can't argue with him. But
a fool loves his father?
He loves his folly. He loves the foolishness.
I heard father too.
I was like, father.
I was like, maybe his dad
what
is
a dumbass
stupid,
loving his daddy.
I thought he had a dumb dad, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
No, a fool loves his folly.
Like the book of No Homo.
Right. Channing ain't Christian, y'all. He can say whatever he can say whatever he want to say. Okay, but no,
and that's another thing that's hard about being a Christian that I don't really talk about a lot is like I don't feel like a very good Christian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but because that depends on what that entails. Because my mom, she comes to me now asking like, I have a friend, he's gay. What do I do to be a good Christian? And do I be friends with him? I'm like, well, yeah, because it's not your job to affirm anything about a person. It's not anybody's job to affirm. We were just talking about the people I get mad at, same people that Jesus got mad at, religious people.
Yeah.
The only people that Jesus had beef with in the Bible constantly were Pharisees and Sadducees, the people of the religious construct that were trying to, one, keep their position, because if everybody has access to God, if this dude actually does this, then what need? We don't have any need. How do I keep my importance, right? He's attacking my importance. So I have to get rid of this guy, because if he's successful, right, he's going to make it so that you can have access to God completely, which you kind of always have, like through even early before biblical, like antediluvian periods of the Bible.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, no, that's just pre-flood. This is a big Bible word for pre-flood. Antediluvian, like Enoch, Cain, Abel, all this stuff. But my favorite person was Enoch. He's a very simple verse about Enoch where he said, Enoch walked with God.
And then he just was no more, right?
Then he was no more.
It's like, where'd he go?
Then he was no more because God killed him. Oh, God took him away. That's what it says. But people would read that.
They didn't say it like that. They didn't
took him away. He said because
they didn't make it sound like he died, though. That was like the thing, right?
Right. He said because God took him away. Yeah, he was.
But why did they say that specifically?
Because it's almost like that's a beautiful life. First of all, like I mean, what else do you want? Like,
so you think that they said like that because it means that he did in fact die, but they were just trying to put it in a pretty way?
I think that's the point. Like, it's like. Because, I mean, that's everybody's story. You're going to die. That's a cool thing, too, about the Bible. Everybody's dead, right? Like, even Lazarus. We talked about Lazarus last show, but he died later.
Imagine Lazarus? Yeah, he died. Yeah, he got raised again. And
Jesus,
like,
who
he
just
died.
ascended. Jesus ascended. Even Islam, Ramsey made me aware of that. They don't believe that Jesus died in Islam. They believe he ascended as well. But everybody else, dead, right? In the ground, right? And that's the point. But he just walked faithfully with God, and then he was no more because God took him away. So that's the whole story of Enoch. At some point he had Methuselah, which is his son, and he lived for the longest amount of time. But that's so beautiful because the way like another person might interpret that like, what a traitor God is. He walked faithfully with God, and that's the thanks he got. He killed him. That's not what happened. That's the process. Everything's a cycle. Right?
Yeah.
Like everything in nature.
I think you can see the macro by looking at the micro.
Right.
Yeah, like looking at the plants and how they bloom and then they wither and whatever. Like everything that we see is like it's like what is that? The hologram thing or whatever?
Is there a word for like
I don't know.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, because even in the Garden of Eden, everything, I heard a preacher talk about gravitropic, the nature of like a seed. Right? Like with your comedy career, in order for it to be strong, right? Like first thing that gravitropic is like gravity. For things to go up, they must go down, right? Like so the seed sprouts and it builds roots and you don't see it above the ground, right? Similar to your comedy career. You build your roots at Marty's, you go to Marty's, you do the hard stuff, the bars, and then boom, right? It comes out the ground where everybody can see it, but it almost is, the stuff you don't see is almost as expansive as the branches.
Like
the
the
roots
iceberg.
are expansive. Right. Right. The thing beneath the surface is a more powerful and more important part of the thing because that's what requires long success. Even the Bible separates success from, or he has good success, I believe is something that was written in the Old Testament. So there must be bad success too. There's some type of success that's not lasting, that's not fruitful. How did you start your comedy career as far as religiously, like, building those roots? Like, you went to Marty's. You said, I want to do comedy. You
I didn't go to Marty's all the time. But
No. But that's like a first step or something like that.
Well, okay. My origin of comedy.
It's a faith walk for sure.
I always wanted to make people laugh, but I didn't ever think about being a comedian.
Word.
So I thought I was going to do like comedic acting or whatever. Yeah. And then I was talking to this crazy agent I had. And I guess he would just, basically, it was like one of those scams when you first move out to LA. They're like, hey, take pictures with this person and take these classes with this person. And, and they're getting
classes?
They're getting a kickback from that. So I was working with this guy. I don't know if he was helping me. He's like, if you want to do comedy, you need to do stand up. And then he told me to like steal someone's routine and just do it. Before I even did comedy, I was like, no, like I knew that was wrong.
Weren't we joking about that last week?
Wait, somebody stole a joke?
I think we were doing some like Mencia shit.
Oh, you were talking about Mencia. Yeah. Unforgivable sins in comedy and stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny. I like that idea of like putting the comedy over the religious stuff.
Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I believe everybody has religion. When people say I don't got no religion, there's something that you do over and over again. There's something that and then you worship too. You praise and worship. What you talk about all day? That's what you praise. And what you worship is, where you put your faith in, right? If you put it in money, if you put it in relationship or like your marriage, and these things can be good for a time. Money's good, but where is it when you need peace, when you need these other things? That's what these other things couldn't give me.
I think it's like too much of a good thing.
Too much, yeah. I mean, it's too fleshly, it's too earthly, like we talking about. Like
it's gonna die.
It's not gonna die. It's not meant to last. That's why if you put your faith in worship.
And that's another meaning of that verse too. It's like put your mind on things above and not here on the earth, because those things all die. Right.
But from what that agent said, at some point, where did you find it as your purpose? Like, what part of it? Because I feel like, somebody actually asked me, do you think everybody has a purpose? I don't think and they were also like a believer or whatever. I was like, everybody has a purpose. Now, whether or not they want to pursue it, that's why we have self-awareness. And so,
I think we always think of purpose as like
something crazy. Yeah.
A career. But me and my family were talking about this recently. Like, your purpose could be like in any moment that you're in.
Yes.
So say that you're at a gas station and someone doesn't have enough money for their gas or something. I mean, I'm just using an example. Or if you have cold water and someone's overheating, you can give them that water. It's like, how can you act at your highest good in any given opportunity? So that, I think,
it always has some service element. That's what I like about what you just said, because those two examples required, to me, I serve in comedy. When it's about me, if I thought God put me here to be rich and to get 1 million views, then I'd be crazy, right? I mean, I still kind of am crazy.
I go back and forth between that.
I'm a little
hard.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's like, it is hard to like maintain that. Like, I'm doing this for other people, especially when you start looking around and you're like, oh, how can I don't know. It kind of takes over sometimes.
Right.
So you got to keep it in check.
Right, that balance.
But it's hard.
As long as it's there. I think that eventually it starts to, I love something Jesus said where he said, do you believe? He asked some dude whose daughter was sick. He was like, well, do you believe? He said, Lord, I believe, but help me with my unbelief, right? So that means that unbelief can be there while still there's faith, right? They're both.
Yeah, and okay, so I started watching this show, The Chosen.
Have
you seen it?
No,
it's so good.
It's
about like the disciples and Jesus and stuff like that.
Based in that time and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's an app and they make it more like accessible. Like, I'll have to show you
The Chosen
later.
app?
There's an app, and you can, I think the first season's on Netflix too.
Oh, okay.
They're part of the people that are still able to work right now because of the religious stuff. But
right.
There was something in that where they were talking about like, which is in the Bible, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, oh, you just need a little bit of faith. But that doesn't seem right, because I have a little bit of faith in some stuff and nothing happens.
Ooh.
But
yeah.
what I heard later and or whatever, the new version of it I heard. That's what's so great. I'm always like interrupting myself, but about the Bible is like you read it and then you read it again, and there's always all these like layers to it, and you're like, whoa. So what I heard the next time was that like you have faith the size of a mustard seed in Jesus. Then you can pick up the mountain or whatever. So that made me feel good because I was like, good. Right. I don't always have a lot of faith, but if I just have a little faith in the right place, then that is good.
Put the faith in the right place. Wait a minute. Dang, I need some type of bell when I hear like I need like a honk, just throw off the revelation.
That's what's amazing. That's why I think people need to read and stuff for themselves, because so much, and I did this growing up. I just listened to whatever my dad said, and I felt like condemned a lot. You know, and I don't think that was his purpose or anything, but like just like everyone's doing XYZ wrong, and it felt like, I mean, if these people can't do something right, like what chance do I have of doing anything right? But everybody's on their own journey and their own time. Same with comedy, and that's really hard sometimes to internalize.
To navigate. I feel you, man. And I wanted to ask you this one because you're in a show. I haven't seen The Chosen, and I need to see Phobias, but you're in a show on Hulu called Phobias.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. I'm tripping. I
was going to correct it, but then I was like,
I saw your show, Phobias. You got to say, you lying boy.
I have a very small part in a movie where Macy Gray yells at me, and I'm very proud of it. I can't wait to see it. But I wanted to ask you something around that idea. Like, so in Psalm 27, authored by King David, it says, 27 verse 1 and 2, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? 2, when the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. What phobias have you conquered, and what do you fear most now? I think I have the same stuff. The fear, and this is going to sound cliche.
As a kid?
No, well, I'm afraid of tornadoes. I'm afraid of accidents. I just got into a bad accident and about a month ago. So I'm still like recovering from that. But mainly, and I think my biggest obstacle, and I've always said this, and I tell people this in comedy when they're getting into it, is my own mind.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff that holds me back, and I think that'll be present in anything that I decide to do that I'm passionate about. So whether it's comedy or if it was psychology, if I wanted to go that route and I was like really getting into it, then the same feelings of lack of self-worth and stuff like that would keep coming up, I think.
Imposter syndrome or something like
imposter syndrome, just not feeling good enough. So like what happens is like, I've been doing comedy for a very long time. I don't always feel great about where I am career-wise. I'm like, why don't these people F with me? Like, why doesn't the industry like me? And so then there's this feedback loop where I think, oh, they don't like me because I'm not good enough. And then the more I think I'm not good enough, the more I become like, sabotaging myself. I start to sabotage myself in different ways because I don't really believe I'm worth it.
Yeah, we have so much time in the day to do that, but I feel like when you get on stage, do you feel free of that? Because when I see you on stage, I see somebody that's, like you said, like you just get in a zone, like your mind, and this could be just opinion based, but I feel like you can't do comedy with your mind. Like you can remember your jokes and all that, but I feel like when you're in a flow, when you're doing, like, do you feel free up there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Like you're connecting to the.
That's my favorite part, is like connecting with the audience. It feels like you're in a good conversation with like a bunch of people that just like get it.
They're just in it with you, and they're seeing life through you. Like you're a vessel, like, and you're like, but they're. And it's funny how sometimes they'll hear things that you didn't say, but they heard what they needed to hear. They'll come back and tell you. And for me, I stopped trying to correct people. I'm like, well, if that's what you needed. That's what you thought was funnier. That's what I said. You know what I mean? Perfect.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
If you enjoyed that more, even better.
It's weird. You don't know what people are going to relate to or whatever.
It just sucks that we have more time. So that's only like at most an hour a night, maybe 20 minutes, 5, 10, whatever it is. But most of the day, the other 24 hours is spent going, man.
I should be.
I want to be Ali Wong. I want to be Dave Chappelle.
I always hear, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I got to do this more. It never feels like enough.
Right. And you know what's crazy is it never is. It never is. Every moment, I remember being at JFL 2019, and
I
somebody
never got to audition for JFL.
You know what I'm saying? And I'd never got to that year. That was the last year Jeff Singer did it. And before the situation he had, Me Too or something like, I don't really know, but
racist.
Yeah. Oh, is he? I don't know. Yeah, he did something. But he like me, like it's like which he just saw me randomly right when they were at callbacks, and I was like, I'd never heard of you. You're good. You want to do callbacks? And I said, whatever. And then I was there, and I'd never submitted. I'd want to do it when I first started comedy. I was already like maybe 15 years in, and I was like, okay, I'm just not a part of that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not in that circle. And there was people, Punky, when I did my audition, my callback, she was there. She was like, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. He saw me yesterday and asked me if I wanted to be here.
Nice.
But it's cool because it's like, that I'm glad for that. But even when I did that, and I was so proud of it, people said the first thing comment, well, what'd that get you? And there's never a thing where you're like, that's enough. Like, I did a thing, I was happy about it, but everybody wants, there's always something else.
It lasts for very little time. Even like things outside of comedy, like with relationships. It's like, oh, when are you going to meet someone? You meet someone. When are you guys going to get married? Oh, you get married. When are you going to have kids? You have kids. When are you going to have another kid? When are you going to die?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Everything's like checking the box.
Yeah.
It's like, it's right here. It's at hand. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's in the hand. You have peace right now. Huh?
I love to-do lists. So
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
You like to keep yourself organized, you mean? Or
I try to, but I like to check things off a list. It feels good. It feels like you're making progress, but the list just keeps getting longer and longer. And then it's like this feeling of waiting to feel satiated that never comes.
Never, man, never. But I feel like, because life is a tornado, there's all kind of things moving. But if you do get that baseline of peace, I think there's a difference between happiness and somebody asked me why you're always happy. I'm not always happy, but I have peace as like a baseline because like you can't be happy, mom dies or grandma dies, something like that. But you have peace with it. You have peace with the fact that, I came, I walked faithfully with God, and He took me away, or whatever it is. Like, that can be the whole thing. And really, whose story is that much more significant than that? I mean, they might write your name down and say you're a great comic, but we worship in many ways Richard Pryor, all these dead comics, but I don't know that guy. I mean, maybe if we met him,
and not only that, it's like all these people, even like you meet them in real life, like this person, you see him out at the club,
right.
Like, this person is miserable.
Right.
Why am I striving to have this person's career? They are by themselves, and they're like an angry person, or they don't feel like it's enough still. So it's like that isn't something I want to like aspire to, and that's kind of what makes it confusing too in the career for me, because it's like I don't have this strong feeling of like I want to be famous, but like I do have this feeling like I want to be respected, and I want like to be able to get work easily, and part of that is like the fame element, but like what am I really striving for in with this? And I don't really fucking know.
100%. That's an interesting thing you were saying about like looking at somebody's career and being like, oh, I want all these things. Because I've always said I wanted a career like John Mulaney's, like stand-up, sketch, his own shows. He gets to do whatever he wants. He gets to walk in, pitch an idea, and it gets made. You know what I mean? But look at that guy.
Right. Is he upset? Is he?
He just got out of rehab for the fourth time.
Yeah. He's in and out of rehab. He had like a big divorce from this lady he was married to, and then like shortly after has having a baby with another woman altogether. And it was like, whoa, this isn't what I thought it was.
Right.
You don't really know what's going on in someone else's story.
Jeez,
you compare yourself to them.
Right. Like you said, when you talk about comics who get respect, who's more respected around any scene than John Mulaney?
Right.
And being able to get work easy. Like he pitches something, it gets made.
Man.
So that's the trade-off. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
How you brought that up.
But it's like, I don't want a shitty life.
Right. Yeah.
Is that weird?
Not at all. I totally get it, man. Dude, you can't, there is nothing. We were actually talking about my grandpa, who's not a very wise guy, but like once you get to a place in your life where you find peace, like my granddad he's cheap. So
I relate to that.
Yeah, he does, but he'll lose money because I'd rather pay for peace of mind. At this age, I'd rather pay the extra because this person has a license and you have a house, which is actually really cool in LA.
I'm actually struggling with that right now. I got some work I need done in my bathroom, and like I always want to go cheap.
See what I'm saying? Like,
but
she got a house.
Bad idea. It's a condo.
She lives in LA. She owns property. She's upset.
That was divine intervention too. People are like,
really?
how are you able to get that?
Yeah. Tell us. You're going to leave a cliffhanger.
I will. Yeah. Because all of these things lined up that like I had no control over. So let me start from the beginning.
Yes.
And try to do it fast before I...
Take your time.
Whatever. So I was living in this apartment with my brother, and I loved the apartment. I was like, we're going to live here for a long time. And like finally in LA, I found a place that like felt really good. And then it didn't work out. He never got a job or whatever. And then I had to move to this other place that I hated with a passion. It was like the energy was gross in there. The neighbors were weird. Oof. Like it just sucked. But and then I remember I felt like I was like getting stronger in my faith during that time. And I remember talking to my mom and being like, I don't get it. I'm doing all these like things and blah, blah, blah. And like, why is this happening? Why am I in this crappy apartment? And she's like, sometimes you got to take a few steps backwards in order to leap forward. And I was just like,
whatever, Mom.
It's like, okay, all right, maybe. But anyway, but it turned out to be a blessing because it gave me the motivation to look for another place that I wouldn't have done if I was staying in the other apartment. Right. So I read this book, Millionaire by 30, spoiler alert, didn't make it, but it gave me a lot of good ideas.
Right.
And me and a girl, another cocktail server that I was working with, we went to this like first time home buyer seminar where we got this list of realtors. I called a realtor on the list. She told me about this program through Wells Fargo. They were like, sorry about ruining our economy back then. So they were giving first time home buyers $30,000. And there's first time home buyer programs in LA too that will match that. So they gave me $30,000. The city matched that. But I do have to pay that back. With like a percentage of what I earn, like the equity of the house or something. And on top of that, my purchasing power went up at the same time that the price on that place dropped down. And that's significant because I kept trying to put in offers in all these different places and like it wasn't going. And then this place, I was like, I'm not even gonna get excited about it. But it was like, it was big. It's a nice size. And like I was able to like rent out a room in it for, several times. And so like if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be able to survive here.
See what's so dope about that story is like, and what Paul was doing, like giving people words. People don't realize, like, first of all, the Bible says my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So whatever your mom said that made you want to go get knowledge first, right? If somebody just gave you some money to buy a house and you're not educated enough to know what comes next, right? You don't have the roots in the ground. You can't maintain it. You don't know what comes. You read enough. I know you ran through that story pretty quick, but I'm sure there was enough information to feel confident in the fact that, okay, there's a different commitment level to owning property than there is to. I was
excited about it.
Yeah, you're excited because you're prepared for whatever, the next
This book
steps.
had a plan. You buy a home and then you refinance that home and you put down a down payment on another home. And that's how you get your rental properties. Woo! And then you get like life insurance and stuff. So I've done all these things. And I remember during that time when I was like looking for a home, I was hanging out at the Comedy Store like usual. Right. And I remember this comic being like, you have to be a millionaire to get a home in LA. There's no way. I work at a bank, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I couldn't believe how many people were like discouraging me. I was like, that's crazy.
He was a demon just going around telling people.
He was a demon. I haven't seen that guy since. His energy was so whack.
He was literally just Satan.
He was. But then I did it. And then the other guy who was like, life insurance is a scam. I know. I talked to my parent and like they're so confident about it. I'm like, no, it's not. It's like a smart way to get money.
Right. Just speaking death into you. Thank goodness you didn't accept it. Thank goodness, because you were still in the stage where you were in process at that point.
Yeah, and people at my job were being discouraging. And I was lucky that I had a friend who was like getting a house at the same time. And I told another friend about it and she got a house at that time too. So yeah,
Dude, I love
people
that.
Were hating.
No, it's good that you chose to listen to the right, and this for any comics, because you reminded me of like just all these different instances. And plus, when you said Comedy Store, this is Comedy Store people who would like when you have an opportunity to speak life into another person, right? Like, do it. Like, what does it cost you idiot? Why are you going up to people because I told a young lady, she was new to comedy. We did a show somewhere up north, but I said, great set. It was okay. It was fine. It was a good set, but I said, that was great set, right? Like, I encouraged her. She was very happy about it. And then the comic, he works at the Comedy Store, at least he did, or probably still does. He was like, why'd you say that? That's a lie. She didn't do good. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do with your What would you say? Let's don't say anything, because then she's gonna get lazy. I was like, no, you just speak life into her. She'll keep doing it. That's the only thing.
That's the thing too. Some people work differently, and I don't know if I always thought it was like a male female thing, but I'm not sure. But I think I had this with my dad and stuff too. People saying discouraging things, thinking it'll be like, I'll show you. But it doesn't. It makes me feel like shit, and I don't try as hard. So, but if someone's giving me like, that was great, and I'm like, oh my God, if I'm doing this good and I just started, like, I'm going to be even better if I keep doing it. You know what I mean?
It kind of goes back to like what you guys were talking about earlier about like service to others, you know?
Right.
How you can do something, whether it's paying for somebody's gas, giving them the ice cold water, whatever. You can just give somebody a compliment and it can change.
Dude, it costs you nothing. It's my favorite thing to like people who are working at shitty jobs is to be like, how much more time do you have here?
Right.
You know, because you know they don't want to be there, or like, how's it going? Or just like connect with them it takes you zero. But the ripple effect of that is huge. Yeah.
What's crazy is you have a position, even, I know we got to do the trivia, my bad, Trent, but I know, and I'm sorry, I'm keeping you over,
No, this is such an interesting talk. I love
But I want to say, because you have a position in this town, and I know, because obviously we're both looking at other people who are doing their thing or whatever, and that's good for them, but I'm sure, like, you know, the fact that you're past the clubs, you can get up any weekend, you get up all the, you know, you tour, you do all this stuff, you're in shows, like, you have an ability to, when it's a new comic who's looking at your career and go, man, I just, if I could just be working on the weekend, you know what I mean? I can't get any spots on the weekend. Like, to speak life into people, like, do you like take advantage of that?
Yeah. God, I remember there was a guy in Atlanta who I said something. I was like, you're really good. You need to be in this festival. You need to be doing this. Yeah, because, but also the thing is, and this is like the selfish part of it too. You don't know who those people are going to be later on. I've been in this business long enough to see like people who started yesterday are now like showrunners. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, don't do that. Be the encouragement. Be someone that people want to work with.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw a guy, he's a buddy of mine too. We're at it was a show, but not a well-run show downtown. And the kid, downtown. Shows aren't usually very good, but the kid asked me, I said, fine. And the other guy got a little mad. I don't think his set went the way he wanted to. And I don't know the guy as much. Somebody else, kind of. But he just berated the guy, like, that's how, like, the things he was saying. And I get, had he put it differently, like maybe he said it with love, right? Like say, hey man, I want you to, he was more selfish about the fact that he got lit early. He was bombing, and he was upset that the guy maybe made a mistake, or the person running the show, the host, lit him a little early, and he starts berating the guy because the guy kind of looked up to him or whatever, took advantage of the position and go, and your sound system, man, you be running these shit shows, and I come anyway, and I whatever, and and the guy's just like taking it because it's weird, right? Even though we know we all broke. But for some reason, like when a young comic sees like us doing a thing, they think that you'll get them banned from places. I don't know what they're thinking, but I really had to take them to the side. Like, man, you could have took that opportunity and really reached that guy and said something. Hey man.
And that's a big thing for you to do too, to say that to someone, because it's hard for people to hear the truth.
Yeah.
And that is a sign of being a good friend. If you're like, hey, this is a thing that I'm noticing that's gonna hold you back. Like,
for sure. And I get the guy's frustrated. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
But he's frustrated about probably whatever. And you see a guy, you're like, yeah, that person's good. But why aren't they getting these opportunities? It could be that. Because like for you, right? Like if I'm thinking, am I a shitty person?
No,
dude, that's not that. Because look, let's say I have access to I would have no problem telling a club that I work anywhere around the country. Yeah, Christine Little's hilarious, but not just that, because there's a lot of people who are very funny, but not as funny as you, but they're funny. But like, I know you're not gonna go there and embarrass me as far as personality wise, because dude,
that's bad business.
Yeah,
that's just
and then they'll never hear my word again. Now you just took food out of every comic I know, because they're not gonna trust my word anymore. I sent an asshole to whatever, El Paso or some other place where they like me, and now they're not gonna take my word anymore. They might not even want to book me because maybe they think we're really good friends.
Yeah, and then they're not gonna want to tell you like, hey, this person sucks. And then that sucks because like sometimes those people are the ones that are like, hey, hook me up, and then like it's like, well, I don't.
You're a shitty dude.
You don't have. It's hard to tell someone like, hey, this victim thing you're doing is off-putting.
Yeah.
This is why people don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear. I don't know how I would take it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have compassion for that as well. But and this is like about the ripple effect. I got into, I don't know what you think about this, but I got into watching all these like near-death experience videos on YouTube. There's this whole channel, and I just became like, I don't know.
People who tell stories about their near-death experience?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they're so interesting.
Wow.
But one of them was like, a lot of the same themes, like life reviews and stuff like that. And a lady was talking about how she was shown this instance where she paid for someone's groceries, and she didn't think, she's like, I've done so much other nicer things. Like I was a nurse and whatever, but it showed like how it rippled out later, and that lady paid it forward to someone else.
Yeah.
And then similarly, there was a story where there was a lady that she worked with as a nurse who wasn't a very good nurse, and she was always having to pick up after her. She didn't talk shit about her, but she like thought these things about her. And then she was showed her life and like all the terrible things that she went through, and the fact that she chose to be a nurse despite those things. And it was like, and then you have this level of compassion. So it's like, you don't know where people are coming from. You don't know their stories.
Yeah.
Dude,
oh my gosh. You have no idea. And just be that little bit of light, man. I know it can be discouraging because there's not much light in the world. It seems that way, at least from what we hear. But man, it can make you just to... I'm sorry, Channing.
No, you're good. I have a quote. This whole talk.
Yeah, what does it remind you of? Yeah.
It reminded me of this quote, and I looked it up, and the source is kind of funny, but it's a quote from Muhammad Ali. And I actually wrote this down, and I used to carry this around in my wallet for years. I might still have it for all I know. The quote is, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth.
Go ahead, Muhammad. Woo!
That's a good one, right?
That's real. Yeah, I love that, man.
Gives me goosebumps.
You know what made me
good.
That made me. You guys, I hope so. When somebody gives you a quote, and you really hope that it's. Now I'm competing because I got a quote. I got one. I got a better quote. No, I got one from. No, that was great. But no, I wasn't competing. But this made me cry. I don't know. I hate when I say it, but nobody gets it. Like I feel like I've shared this, and like my wife looked at me like, that's stupid. But all right, I remember before I met my wife, I was at this girl's house, and nothing happened, but I was in a room and whatever. She had this poster that made me, so Barbie girl made me cry when I was a kid. I remember crying at that. And this poster, it was like, you guys might know the full quote, but it's like somewhere in a dark street, like down in a dark neighborhood, dark street, there's a dark house, in a dark closet, there's inside a dark box, there's a tiny pink jelly bean. That's all it says. That's the whole thing, right? And I was like, oh my God. It's something about just that jelly bean. Like it's a tiny pink jelly bean. And it's pink, and the world is dark around it, but just that little pink jelly bean is enough
and if you just keep going through the layers.
I'd die for that jelly bean.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much darkness around you everywhere. But if you could be a tiny little bit of light in that, man, that's enough. You know what I mean? Even if you're
light
surrounded.
drives out darkness.
We were just talking about that with Shang. There's no such thing as darkness. It's just the absence of light. Ooh. That's what science says. There's just no light here, right? And so if you could be a light, just how you are, just go up in these clubs, man. I feel like that's enough. I get it. There's a lot of terrible stuff, but I love your attitude.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for being here, Christine.
A work in progress.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
But speaking of, man, and I hate to beat that light up out you, but we got the Bible Belt, okay? We got the Bible Belt, Shannon, and I'm down to.
I used to get hit with belts when I was
not with the Bible Belt.
I'm from the Bible Belt.
Right. All right, guys. You know what time it is. Christine stepped into the Thunderdome, baby. It's time to battle for the Bible Belt. Oh, we need a sound thing. My bad.
We need something.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That was thunder.
Yeah. So, Christine, as everybody out there knows, but you might not know, we compete for the Bible. 3 questions that Channing chose off the internet. I forget the name of the website, but he picked these 3 off the website. I hope it's not on hard mode like it was the last couple weeks.
I think this one's on hard mode.
It's on hard mode. Okay, all mad.
Are you going to read them?
He's going to read them, yeah. So if we tie, then you get the belt. But, yeah, hopefully I can regain because I'm down 0-2 the last couple weeks, man.
So, Christine, you are representing the guests. The guests right now are the holders of the belt. Shang won it, and he defended it from David C. Smalley. So right now you are current champion defending the guests. Sean is your challenger.
Don't worry, I'm not Switch
He
it
will
over.
be challenging to win.
Well, I
the
can
belt
already tell you that I
back.
don't know the answers, but I'll guess.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I think Shane
was
guessed.
guessing. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
he
David
guessed.
guessed when he said that John ate the Bible or something like that.
Here we go. Question number 1, comedian Bible study quiz number 6. After God expels Adam and Eve from Eden, what object does he place to the east of the garden? A, an eagle's feather. B, a fountain. C, the hide of a cow. Or D, a flaming sword.
So you guess first, or you pick first. Seeing as how, but if I pick the same as you, it really...
I just don't know, but I'm going to guess a flaming sword.
Okay, I'm going to guess B, fountain.
Or the fountain.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go- wait, which one did you guess? Wait a minute.
No, I said it was
D?
between those two.
She's D. I'm B.
okay,
You going
yes.
with D?
She's going with D. I'm going with B.
Sean's
It's a
going
fountain.
with B. The correct answer is A,
What?
an eagle's feather.
What?
I didn't
Dude.
even know he placed anything to the east of the garden.
An
Let's
eagle.
just get that straight.
There's an eagle in Africa?
So we both
All
both
right.
failed.
I guess it was all one continent.
What did
back then.
Unless you're Mormon, then he would have placed it in upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
where the Garden
okay.
of Eden was in the
For the
book of
Mormons, they
Mormon.
think the garden was Utah, but then it was...
Utica, New York.
Oh,
or
that's what they
something
think the
like
Garden
that.
of Eden was?
Utica, Utah.
Something like that.
All right.
Here we go. Question number 2. What did Hezekiah do after sanctifying the temple and offering sacrifices? A, waged war on Assyria. B, got married. C, invited the king of Aram to visit. D, held a Passover feast.
Okay. I think... Oh, man,
Hezekiah,
dude. We're going back to novice after this.
I didn't know he did anything. Can you put it on an easier mode?
Yeah, dude.
Hezekiah. I know he had a tunnel.
Tunnel? Okay. So what'd you...
I'm gonna go with C or D.
See? Well, you,
So let me get both of those. If
oh, wait.
either
I'm going to go... I was going to say... So wait, which one are you picking? Because I'll go with the opposite. I know it's either C or D, but I'll go the opposite of what you get because I need to get up on you.
fine, I'll get D.
You're going to get D? All right, I'm going to get C. I'm going to take C because I got to...
Correct answer is D. He held
What?
a Passover feast.
Oh
Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Oh
so
my
you're
God.
up. So now, oh my God, dude, I was in the same position with David. Well, I can just tie now.
David.
What if I
Yes, you can do is
tie?
Of course, David won.
David won. Yeah.
Question number 3. What will Jesus give to Paul and those who love his appearing? I don't think I worded that right. What will Jesus give to Paul and those who love?
A.
Oh, yeah, and those who love Jesus appearing.
Yeah, I thought it was a mansion up there, but
A, a mansion. B, a crown of righteousness.
A.
So you guessed
C,
A.
great
All right, so I
treasure.
gotta say
B,
something.
or
beautiful
E.
white
A
horse.
or E.
I'm gonna go C just because since you pick A, this will
I
tie.
picked
But I
two.
mean, it's either still if I tie, I lose. But
So you are going with a mansion, Sean?
no,
No,
that's
no,
Christine's
I
answer.
did.
Christine's going with a mansion. Sean
I'm
is
going
going
great treasures.
with great treasures. Okay.
Oh,
Correct
that
answer
makes
is a crown of righteousness.
What?
You neither of you get it right, which means
I won.
Yeah.
Can we do another round with easier questions?
I don't have any prepared.
Next time we
I
get
am
look.
upset about this.
Yeah, that
A
was
crown
very-
of righteousness.
I think Chandler's trying to make me look like a plum fool on my own show.
Sean has lost his last 3 fights.
I'm over 3, but the good news is I'm
The
getting
good
more of my
news.
friends on here, and Christine's coming back too one of these days, and I'm gonna take revenge. We're gonna have another passage. But Christine, thank you for being here today. I
Thanks
thank
for
you that.
having me.
Yes, and I know you got, guys, make sure you check out Phobias on Hulu right now. Watch her and Macy Gray going at it, and check you
She
got
just
shows all
yelled at
around.
me. Yeah, I got some shows coming up at the Nightcap soon. I don't know when this airs.
Oh, nice.
It's already a
But-
few weeks, so we got Jeff died, then we got Ram, and we got about 5-6 weeks.
Okay, the
In
show will
August?
probably be done by then. So, but yeah, look me up on social media. That really helps me a lot. Check out my Amazon shop. Okay, it costs you
Hey.
nothing, but it helps me tremendously.
Woo!
So yeah,
And check
at
out those
the
live streams.
X-Teen Little. Yeah, I do these crazy live streams. They're terrible, but I just keep doing them.
But you be cooking, right?
I try.
Cooking that.
I brag. I'm the only live stream cooking show that doesn't show the food.
Wow. Genius. That's really good. Dude, guys, thank you for coming to watch Communion Bible Study. I'm Sean Grant. That's Channing. Make
Hey.
sure you follow us online. Follow at Comedian Bible Study. Check us out on YouTube, on Spotify. We should be on all the things very soon. But we'll see you next time. Peace.